How does that work? It's a question parents have been hearing as long as there have been children. And for renowned author-illustrator David Macaulay, answering that question has been his life's work. He's talking with Martha Teichner.
Confession. I'm just mad about the mammoth, the one that wandered out of the Ice Age into one of author-illustrator David Macaulay's books, where he found his purpose in life, if that's a mammoth thing, helping Macaulay explain the way things work to kids.
I was desperate to find a humorous way of explaining levers. So I put the mammoth on the end of the log and put the log on the rock to have a fulcrum, and the villagers on this end of the lever. The problem that had to be solved was, what does the mammoth weigh? So it was as simple as that.
Since it came out in 1988, the book has sold more than 1 million copies around the world. Mammoth and a whole herd of his friends have made their way into other Macaulay books. Do you have any idea how many mammoths you've drawn?
It's like 43, 272, I believe.
43,272 mammoths.
That's just a guess, but...
With or without the help of mammoths, but always with a sense of humor, David Macaulay has come to be known as America's explainer-in-chief. He is a multi-award-winning star in the children's picture book world, a MacArthur Genius Grant recipient, having explained all kinds of things in more than 24 books over the course of his 50-plus year career. The human body, cathedrals, castles, toilets, the pyramids, ships, the city of Rome.
I miss Rome, and I think about it often, and I think about particular streets and places in Rome.
As an architecture student at the Rhode Island School of Design, Macaulay spent a year there. Born in England, he moved to the United States at the age of 10 with his family. It says chaos.
Chaos, that's where this process started, and in fact, it's where all my books start.
An ongoing exhibit at the National Building Museum in Washington, D.C. explores the messiness of creating a book.
This whole thing is the inside of my brain, and those clouds floating overhead were an attempt to sort of suggest some of that. You know, the things that go through your mind when you think, this is not going to work.
Some of these look like procrastination.
Oh, procrastination is my gift. I always find that in the end, if I'm using my imagination, if I'm asking the right questions, then the procrastination is working in my favor. And I have to keep drawing, I have to keep...
And drawing, and drawing. These are just some of the drawings he produced while he was figuring out who would be the ideal tour guide of Rome, with the perfect point of view.
Why not a pigeon carrying a message from somebody who lives outside the city to someone who lives inside the city? I mean, it took the scenic route, which was ideal.
Early one fall morning, David Macaulay brought us here.
Obviously a piece of engineering.
This side is Vermont. Over there, New Hampshire, the Connecticut River in between.
And then we've got an arch.
He began sketching the bridge.
The weight of all of this stuff is supported on this arch and transferred into these piers.
He wanted us to realize that for him, sketching is seeing.
So now you're looking up under the road.
Sketching is a language for understanding.
We look at things, but do we actually see them? What better way to spend time with a structure like this than with a sketchbook in your hand? Looking at specific details. I think that's my goal in a way, is to have people open their eyes to the ordinary, to the everyday, to the things they take for granted.
Like the sorts of things both man-made and natural that Macaulay sees when he walks his dogs, Maya and Minnow, in Norwich, Vermont, where he lives.
There we go, huh? Once she's stopped and I'm holding the leash, you know, I think, I wonder how many pieces of wood are in that fence. I wonder how it's fastened together.
Walks with Stella, his beloved previous dog, are the basis for the book he's working on now.
I'm looking up at this fire escape contraption above, and I'm thinking,
What's starting to take shape on his wall is David Macaulay's stealth attempt to hook kids on the wonder right before their eyes.
I thought, maybe I can create a book that will help them connect. And what better way to do that than to maybe use myself as an example?
Have you ever done anything this personal and this introspective before?
No, this is the first.
At 78, this time, the point of view is his own. But why? And why now?
My sort of conscience, perhaps a little payback here after all these years of being able to do what I want, really, and be successful at it, be rewarded for it. Now it's time to maybe pay that off.